welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to say thank you for all of those of you who have subscribed to the channel and have been part of this journey probably from our previous efforts. For those of you who don't know, this is the actual third channel that we developed here at Bardon HQ. Our original channel, the first one, is Bardon Music, and that's still in operation. But we had to make a huge decision a few months ago due to the fact that the channel reach was totally hampered, and we have the feeling that it had to deal with the way the algorithm works. Because we have produced content for musicians, for mixing engineers and music producers, and the music analysis that you're very familiar with. We think that actually created a huge confusion on the algorithm and stopped the delivery of the videos, basically speaking, stopped the growth of the channel to a point of it being almost laughable. That's why you sometimes see me in a different room, because those videos were shot in a particular period of time on which I was working in a different room here in the studio. Once we decided to create this new channel, we decided to focus all of our efforts, and depending on the kind of content we were producing, we put everything in a particular jar, and it's working marvelously well so far. Little by little, we are making the original channel, Bardon Music, much more healthy, and we also launched a few months ago the music production channel, which is growing at a slower pace because we're developing the proper content strategy for it. And it would be awesome if you subscribe to those channels as well. Just warning, that content is, one of the channels is more geared towards musicians, and the other one is more geared towards, well, this. Now, as I said before, the whole point of this video is for me to say thank you for your support, because this channel has grown incredibly fast, way faster than anybody of us expected, and it's all thanks to you, your support, your comments, and you've always been active in basically every video we upload. And since it's impossible for me to keep track of everything and all of the questions and all of the comments coming in from the different ways that you have access to us, such as Instagram and Twitter, including Discord, because we also launched a Discord that will be in the description to this video, but also in the pinned comment, that you can join and you can be part of the conversation. It's actually developing, and it's quite fun. You should join. But now, I wanted to cover some of the questions that have been hard for me to keep track of. So let's begin. So, first question: what kind of music do I actually listen to? Look, let me take you back to my childhood. The first band that I actually fall in love with was Metallica. The first album that I bought, the first CD, was Metallica with the San Francisco Symphonic Orchestra, I think. It's an album that I like, but I'm gonna put it this way. The orchestra is fantastic, Metallica gets in their way. And yeah, it's not because Metallica's music sucks. No, it's because I find the arrangement for that particular album to be kind of misguided to a certain degree. Because the orchestra is way too in your face, it's super well crafted, it's beautifully crafted. If I recall correctly, the composer and the arranger was Michael Kamen, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong. He did a fantastic job with the arrangement for the songs, for Metallica's music. The thing is that he went overboard. It's way too much orchestra and not that much Metallica. So that's why I don't necessarily speaking find it to be the perfect album. But from there, as you can imagine, I developed myself into a rock and roller because I happen to love electric guitars. I love music from the 80s, as you might imagine, and rock and 80s is basically the match made in heaven. So my favorite kind of music is progressive rock, clearly. That's why I ended up becoming a progressive rock musician myself by profession, and later the whole music business thing. So yeah, progressive rock. My favorite bands are Dream Theater, Pink Floyd, and Iron Maiden. And yes, Iron Maiden is not prog rock, but I will always say that Iron Maiden has plenty of progressive rock elements. Changed my mind. From there, I love listening to jazz. I listen to jazz quite a lot. I consider myself a huge fan of Miles Davis. But also, I love Ornette Coleman and Billy Harper as well, Bill Evans, all of those classic jazz musicians that I happen to love. But being a rock and roller as well, I love rock jazz fusion. So you can often see me listening to music like MVP, Mark Barnes Project, Brett Garst, what's the name of these guys? Cosmo Squad, and bands like that are Steve Smith, Frank Gambel, and Stu Ham. Fantastic. All of those are fantastic bands, and in the much more acrobatic yet aggressive sounding kind of music, the realm of fusion. And of course, orchestral music. I happen to be a sucker for classical music, so yeah, you can see that I'm a huge snob. Next question: why does this channel exist? I already explained to you the situation with the algorithm, but I'm gonna share with you the more personal reason why this channel is a thing. I think that the world needs better music. And better music doesn't mean new music. We already have a huge back catalog of fantastic music that will eventually inspire a newer generation of musicians. But at the same time, we need to show the world and show newer generations as well that music used to be great, that they shouldn't accept the slop that is being thrown at us on a daily basis as the equivalent to music, because it's clearly not. So the whole purpose for this channel is to share a little bit of the knowledge and the techniques that I learned along the way by doing this profession with you, so you can have a better way to describe the sound of the music that you're listening to give you the tools to analyze and enjoy your music further, because music is beautiful, and the more you know, the better you understand it, and the more you enjoy it, and the more passion you would put into it. And that's probably the reason why, probably the strongest reason why this channel exists. Then another question, somebody asked me, what does a music producer actually do? Great question. You'll see. A music producer, it's meant to be the one who keeps the sound of the music being worked on in the studio the way the original vision of the artist intended it to be. I know it sounds kind of esoteric, but you'll see, when you are writing music, you always have the temptation of adding something extra or changing this or move this around, or sometimes you don't want to change anything because you become kind of blinded by the love you got for the work you're putting into the music that you're developing and creating. And a music producer, his role is to make sure that the vision, the original vision, it's kept, but also propelled and promoted and developed to its final form, the best it can be. Throughout the production cycle, throughout the whole mixing, well, not even mixing, the recording, the mixing, and the mastering process that it's part of developing a record. That's what a music producer does. In contrast, a mixing engineer is the guy who will, through the use of technique and devices, will be able to convey an emotion and push the song forward and the sentimental elements of it to match the vision the artist and the producer have for the song. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's kind of an esoteric term, but in later years, the concept as well has been kind of distorted by the lesser quality musical movements that we are having to deal with at the moment, if that makes sense to you. Now, another question. If I were to recommend you an streaming service, which or what would it be? You always see me using Apple Music here, but that's due to the fact that I happen to be a huge Apple fanboy. No, I wouldn't call myself a fanboy, but I have invested quite a lot into the whole Apple ecosystem. So Apple Music makes sense to me. But in its defense, the service actually offers a very, very good and easy to use lossless audio version, which is the one that I always use here. And even on my iPhone, my music app, it's always playing lossless audio. What is that? Is music that has no form of compression. So it's basically CD quality for the vast majority of cases, which is considered to be the best sounding. And I gotta tell you that, yeah, there are many, many reasons why, for those of you who know what I'm about to say, higher resolution audio files make no sense for the vast majority of cases. I'm gonna put it there. So I would recommend you Apple Music. But you can also join, if you're not into the whole Apple ecosystem, you should try Cobos. I think Cobos is fantastic. And they also have a fantastic offline store. You can actually buy the records from them in lossless quality. I usually buy albums from Cobos, but also I would recommend you to check out Bandcamp, because in Bandcamp you can actually buy the records as well from the artist themselves. So if you truly want to support the people who are making the music you enjoy so much, I would rather recommend you to buy their records rather than subscribing to a subscription-based system. And in all honesty, I'm up to here with the idea of renting stuff. I am now in a holy crusade, buying my records one by one, little by little, again, because I want to create my own Apple Music-like server. Yes, because you can do that. There are services such as PlexAmp, if I recall correctly, which allows you to create your own server, and you can stream your music from there without paying any form of extra fee to Apple or anything in the likes. But more on that later. Now, final question, and this is the big one. Do I like Depeche Mode or not? No, I don't. No, I'm joking. No, look, I actually happen to not like love the album Songs of Faith and Devotion. And it's an album that I discovered thanks to you. That album is basically everything I like about Depeche Mode. The thing is that I haven't listened to any other record by them that it's similar in that regard. Some of them have recommended, if I recall correctly, Ultra as a great continuation of that sound, because earlier Depeche Mode, for as much as I praise the quality of the music and the production values, it simply doesn't ring with me. But Songs of Faith and Devotion, it actually does, because it has that rock and roll, dark and kind of moody, very angsty sounding, but not in a teenage way, if that makes sense to you, that I find to be very good and alluring. So yes, so if you want me to get into more Depeche Mode, recommend me more songs similar to the stuff found on that album, because every single one of those songs happen to be fantastic. And one more thing, the whole thing within your room. Some of you are asking for that video. It's coming, but it's not coming back in the way that you might expect. For those of you who don't know, I already shot the reaction to In Your Room, which happens to be my favorite Depeche Mode track. The problem is that when we had to take down the videos from the original channel, Bardon Music, we lost the file for that analysis. So it won't come back in its original format. But that means one thing, I will have to redo it again, but now in this room, with the quality and the whole apparatus that this room has to offer. So it's coming soon, very soon. In fact, it's not necessarily speaking that I just shot the video before I began talking to you. But stay tuned because it's coming. So that's basically it. That's everything I wanted to tell you. And one more thing I would like to say once again, thank you for your support and for being part of this journey. I totally encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, but also join our Discord because it's actually very fun. A few days ago we were discussing some bands that have released music that nobody knows. Nobody knows who released them. It's unknown artists. And we're trying to discover, if we manage to discover, who was the artist behind those tracks. So that kind of conversations are the ones that are taking place in the Discord. So please join it if you want to be part of the fun. Link in the description and the pinned comment. So basically speaking, that would be it. As every single time that I meet you, I remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember, I will see you when I see you.